Hi, my name is Ashley Johnson, and this is my video student project for general psychology. I will be interviewing two individuals that work in the social work field, and one of them is working at a federal level and the other working at a state level. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I myself am aspiring to get into the social work field, hopefully becoming a youth trauma counselor. Unfortunately, I was unable to do a couple more interviews that I had planned on different fields, but hopefully these two interviews give you an eye-opening view of what it's like to work at state and federal levels as a social worker. Thank you. Welcome and thank you for part of this interview regarding our psychology class project. If you could you state your name, what your title at work is, and where's your employment?
Hi, my name is Michael Gunn. I'm a clinical social worker for the Department of Veteran Affairs, working specifically with the homeless veterans population.
Great, thank you. Can you describe your work routine on an average day, roughly when you arrive and when you leave?
Yeah, sure. Normally we get on site at about 8 o'clock in the morning, get our list of veterans that we're going to be seeing that day or patients that we're going to be seeing. Specifically for my job, we go out to the veterans location, provide individualized counseling, and perhaps help them with housing searches.
Great, thank you. What inspired you to choose a career in the field of psychology?
My background has always been a combination of psychology, social work, law enforcement, predominantly all of the helping professions. And one thing that lends itself to the field of mental health as a whole is that intermixed combination of things such as psychology.
Perfect. How would you use psychology in your daily routine at work?
Well, psychology with the veteran population, it's multifaceted. So a lot of the veterans have symptomology of PTSD. So you're dealing with a lot of cognitive behavioral processing, psychotherapy related problems that they're encountering, motivational interviewing techniques to keep them motivated, upbeat and positive, with a strength-based perspective and focus on their daily living activities.
Okay. And before starting your career, what would you like to learn more of that you feel would have helped prepare you better for your type of work?
I would say probably getting the widest array of psychology in different fields, social work in different fields, because all of them are kind of specific. It's difficult to find a generalized practice for psychology because each niche has its own specialty trainings.
Okay. Could you name the benefits and maybe even the downsides to your line of work?
Well, the benefits are obviously you have the opportunity to better other people's lives around you, whether it's overcoming challenges and obstacles in their daily life or chronic mental illnesses, and putting them in a better place. Of course, the downside to these things is that you are limited by the organization that you work for, how much you can do or how much you can't do with your patients.
Would you like to see a little bit more freedom as far as what you're able to do on your own as a social worker?
No, we do have a pretty liberal approach to how we work with patients. There are certain guidelines that you do have to follow with evidence-based practice. So no, there's not really any wider range of possibilities that you could employ, whatever works for that particular situation, because they're all unique.
Okay. If you could pick any other type of job under the umbrella of psychology, what would you say would be another position you would like to try out?
Well, for me personally, one of the things that I had always found interesting, even being much younger, was the field of forensic psychology. And for those that don't really know what that is, It's the effects of the environment as well as motivating factors behind criminal activity or civil disputes where there's some type of trauma that's involved.
Okay. And what advice would you give to someone who is interested in a career that focuses on the usage of psychology in their position itself?
Get as much exposure to as many areas of the field in psychology that you can. Even when I was doing my undergraduate work, I took abnormal psych, behavioral psych, child psych, adolescent psych, and all those things bring together a better whole health representation of what you can apply to patients.
Perfect. Okay, well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, this is Ashley Johnson interviewing Glenn Kaminsky for a psychology class project. If you could you state your full name, your title, and your place of employment?
Yes, my name is Glenn Kaminsky. My title is Dependency Case Manager, and place of employment is Twin Oaks Community Services.
Thank you. Could you just briefly describe what your work routine is, roughly from when you arrive to when you leave, kind of what your daily routine would be?
There really, truthfully, is no daily routine with this job that I'm in. Things happen out of nowhere quite often. You might have a child on your caseload that blows their placement for whatever reason, and since you're the legal guardian and case manager, you might have to just travel to wherever they're placed and move them. So things like that could happen at any moment. Meetings happen a lot of times, like important meetings can happen at any given moment. Like if something crazy happens on one of your cases, there'll have to be like an emergency meeting that takes place, like a staffing between you and attorneys and your supervisor. So like there really is not this job is really, really crazy, and things can happen like in the snap of a finger. But for the most part, there's no routine. But if I could just summarize it, it's normally I'll go to work, answer tons and tons of emails, do a lot of paperwork, get ready for my home visits that I'm going to do during the day to go see the children in the home, and then go to court if I have court scheduled that day.
Okay, thank you. What inspired you to choose a career in the field of psychology?
I would say mental health. Growing up as a kid and to this day, I do have some mental health diagnosis. And I didn't really know much about it when I was younger. I knew that there was some issues that I had, but I didn't really know much about it. So I wanted to increase my knowledge on it and awareness. So I got a degree in psychology. And then ever since, I've been working with individuals that do have a lot of mental health diagnosis. So that was pretty much my primary reason.
Okay, perfect. And then what is your degree, if I may ask? What is your official degree?
Bachelor's degree in psychology with a minor in criminology.
Okay, great. Now, before starting your career, what would you have liked to learn more of that you feel like would have helped prepare you better for your type of work?
I think probably the field of substance abuse. I don't really have like a history of addiction or anything like that. So, I know obviously what they teach you in textbooks and stuff like that, but it's a lot of generic, basic like knowledge that you learn in college about substance abuse. But I wish I was able to learn a little bit more about it because it's very, very, very relevant in the field that I'm in. Like pretty much 90% of my cases are substance abuse related and drugs related. So I wish it was definitely something that I knew more about.
Okay. Can you name the benefits and possibly even the downsides of your type of work?
Yeah, the benefits are working with children. And bringing the kids back to their families, to the families that they were removed from, reuniting the kids with the mother and father. That's always rewarding. It's not very often, unfortunately, it's not very often that happens, but when it does happen, it feels good. And
I think
watch this job is court, lots and lots of court, lots of testifying, lots of paperwork. Of course, when children are involved, tons of liability and tons of paperwork. So, and also emotional trauma exposure. You see, it's just, if you let it, this job will eat you alive, because it can be very stressful and mentally draining.
Okay. All right. And then let's see here. If you could pick any other type of job under the umbrella of psychology, what's another position that you think you would be interested in kind of testing the waters on?
Well, so I'm in case management right now. And I've had previous jobs as case management, as a case manager, which I do enjoy. But if I could kind of branch out, honestly, I think I'd probably be interested in counseling.
Okay. Do you have a certain field you would like a direction in counseling, or just in general?
Mental health. Yeah, mental health counselor.
Okay. All right. And what advice would you give to someone who is interested in a career that focuses on the usage of psychology in their position? What advice would you give them before they kind of took that dive into the field?
Well, just know that any job in this field does not pay very well. A lot of people are not in this job for the money. Unfortunately, social service jobs are very low-paying jobs. Most of the workers are very, very, very overworked. So you're going to have a lot of clients, a heavy caseload, and just make sure that you're in it for the right reasons, and make sure that you have some stress management. Make sure that you have some kind of coping skills, because, again, this job will definitely eat you alive if you allow it to, and you take, the issues that you see, and if you take it home with you and you don't learn to separate, it could be really detrimental to your own mental health. So just make sure you have, something you can de-stress and cope with.
Okay, perfect. Okay, well, thank you.